doing some regular jobs.
Yes.
You're a musician, you're a rapper,
Yeah.
but you have been in the supermarkets, the barber, changing tires.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Where did that come from?
After some years, like this whole fame thing gets really boring, man. It gets really weird and dark, and you want to be treated like everyone else.
What is that like? Take us into
Yeah.
this bubble that can sometimes get dark.
Nasty C's most transparent interview. I've been going through a lot. Now, for those that don't know, Nasty C was one of the biggest artists out of Africa when he was at his prime. You gotta realize he almost got a deal from Jay-Z with Rock Nation as well. So he was bubbling, he was popping, he had songs with some of the biggest people. So recently, we've been seeing that he's been going through quite a lot of problems, and it's now time to kind of talk on it, because this is something that doesn't necessarily get talked about within the entertainment field, but it should definitely get discussed because a lot of people are going through it.
Your reasoning for going independent.
Total and complete control over my creative freedom, my creativity, um, control over the way I put out my stuff. I think also I've learned a lot, man, because I've been under like a label structure for quite some time now. So I learned a lot of like, the inner workings of the industry, so to say. So I feel like I can apply everything that I've learned by myself with my media team. We'll do just fine. It's the time.
I mean, look, so how much of it you want to speak on is fair? Do you feel you signed a bad deal? Because you referenced that within one of the tracks, or in retrospect.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about this recent deal with Def Jam and Universal. That one was cool.
Mhm.
That one was really good. Very fruitful. It's one of the earlier deals that I signed. A couple, two actually. I'm not gonna say which one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's two of the ones I signed earlier on. Kind of.
What for again? What, without saying who it was, what did you feel wasn't making sense for you on an artist and business level?
I think obviously the percentage split could have been better. Obviously when you're new in the game, kind of undervalue yourself, because you're a newbie. Everyone else has been doing this way longer than you. You see these huge budgets, and you think, oh, these people are, they know what they're doing, and they're gonna take me there. It's gonna be like this, but that's not really how it goes. It's all about like the work that you put in as an artist, how you connect with your fans, the demand that you create, and all that stuff. So it really is in your hands. And yeah.
And that's the thing a lot of artists don't actually realize. Even when you're signed to a label system, you got to realize that you have to operate as if though it is your own business, because your career, your livelihood, your music, the way you cater to your fans, it is your business. You got to realize that with a label, instead of looking at them as a savior, or these people are basically going to come and basically save the day, they're going to do absolutely everything. They're going to, decide my image, decide what songs to release, etc. The reason why we keep on seeing that artists aren't necessarily satisfied with their label deals and their experiences with labels is because, again, a lot of artists don't necessarily approach it with the right type of mindset, and they don't understand the fact that with labels, you need to treat them as almost a bank, right? You take out a loan from a bank, guess what you have to do? You have to make a profit on top of it. So it's about understanding that mentality, understand how they operate, and understand that they're only going to fund whatever projects you got going on when they see some sort of motion. In today's day and age, we don't even have artist development anymore. Back then, maybe there was artist development. They will take you on in year one, and maybe you were releasing year three, because from year one all the way to year three, they would have developed you. They would have taken you to the biggest producers, worked in your sound, giving you vocal training, dance training, etc. But now they expect you to be ready made and already have a TikTok following before you even get signed to them. Do you know what I mean? So a lot of the time, we tend to undervalue ourselves whenever we're approaching a label structure. These guys have been in the game for hundreds of years, right? Us as new creatives, as new artists, as new producers, as new engineers, if we don't understand at least the basics, right? And understand the basics of business, understand the basics of the music business specifically, understand the terms and conditions, we're literally walking into a game that we have unfair advantage in. And that's the reason as to why a lot of artists get done over. Outside of that, we tend to undervalue our expertise and undervalue our talent as well. Because let's be real, music, especially at the time that he was coming out, it's one of those things. And also, you got to realize it's from South Africa as well, right? It's one of those things where you're thinking, oh my days, I'm actually getting listened to. My music is actually going out there. They're appreciating my music. They allow me to perform in front of these types of audiences and here and there. And do you know what I mean? So people are just appreciative of even just being in the room without realizing that after a while, when you keep on getting successful, that deal structure that you initially negotiated that was a dream will eventually turn into hell very, very quickly because, again, it set you up for failure.
Yeah, when you're starting off, you tend to put all that responsibility on someone else. And so you're more willing to give them like a bigger cut than you probably should.
I think there's a lot of dream selling early on, like, you know.
Yeah.
You got
name dropping and all that stuff, and you're just like, what?
Yeah.
For sure, I take it.
like, yeah, you know, everything is always the upside, that the best possible outcome, and never like, well, if it doesn't.
Yeah, you don't think about that part. Also, they mentioned the international trips, and you're just like, oh, I've always wanted to go to the States.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, sure.
And you don't realize that it's actually on your dime. You know, that advance that they're giving you, when they're flying you out and taking you here and taking you there, they're paying it out of your budget, you know. It's not for free, do you know what I'm saying? And with the whole name dropping thing, you got to realize that in every single industry, everyone name drops. Even if you're in corporate, for example, they name drop that, oh, so-and-so worked with us, or we worked with so-and-so, we're able to achieve this with so-and-so and this accolade and this accolade. So every single person does that. But in the entertainment industry, it's like that, but on steroids. You know what I'm saying? If, let's say, for example, they've worked with 100 artists, and out of those 100 artists, luckily 3 became mega superstars. They're only going to talk about the 3. They will never, ever talk about the 97 that didn't make it, or were benched, or were shelved, or had one single, had one, and became a one-hit wonder. They're never going to talk about that, because if they talk about the reality of the situation, the fact that it's going to be hard, the fact that you have to work your own music and work your own crowd, etc., what's going to happen? You're going to literally just say, F this, I'm not signing to a label. In fact, you'll probably run away from it. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's all about selling that dream. But you, as the person being sold to, you need to understand that you can't be sold on everything. You know, there's a phrase saying sell or be sold, right? You need to be able to sell your vision to them. You need to be able to sell yourself, right, to your audience. You need to be able to understand how to actually maneuver as a business. You got to also realize, I heard a phrase the other day, right? The guy was basically saying that every single person on earth is living the first time experience. This is the first time on earth, right? Every single person is new here. So if you're listening to the next man and basically saying, look, this person is going to be my savior and they're going to take me here, they're going to do this, they're going to be the person with all the experience to do this and this and that. You got to realize that, yes, they may have somewhat of knowledge and maybe it worked for them, but every single piece of advice isn't necessarily going to work for everyone. You need to be cautious and do your own work and do your own research.
So when you came out of that situation, what helped you get out of it? Because I don't know the situation, I don't know the particulars, right? Yeah. But typically sometimes people have like long-term deals, or was it a long-term contract where you just like, how were you able to get out of that then?
It wasn't, so none of my deals have ever ended like on a bad note. Mm-hmm. I'm a very normal person. I'm a human being before this superstar artist, whatever. So I build relationships with everyone I work with, all my partners, you know. So when I feel like it's time for me to leave, it's always on a very good note. We talk things out, we figure out a structure for us to, you know, make sure each party gets what they deserve or gets back the same amount they put in or whatever. And we always make it work. It wasn't. Yeah, none of them were ever, like, you never heard about any of these things, like on Twitter or whatever.
Yeah, no rant.
It doesn't go like that with me, man. We sit down, talk it out, and figure it out.
On 3, the intro, like I was saying, the intro, there's so many quotables on it. There's a lot. And it actually does so.
Now, in this one, guys, we got another interview by BBC Africa talking about his growing pains as an artist, some lessons he's learned. And at the end of the video, we'll actually dive deep into what I think.
Doing some regular jobs.
Yes.
You're a musician, you're a rapper.
Yeah.
But you have been in the supermarkets, the barber, changing tires.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Where did that come from?
Initially, I thought of that idea as just a campaign to push this one song that I dropped called Soft, right? And the first lyric of the song is working hard just to live soft.
Oh.
So I was like, all right, what do normal people go through? Like, what's their version of working hard to live soft? I know what mine is, you know, staying up late at night, a bunch of studio time, clubs, whatever. Being able to experience that, even if it's just for a couple hours, to experience what a normal person does at work. Plastic bag? No plastic bag? Okay. I think it's just FOMO, man. If you know anyone that's hiring, whether they're a zookeeper, beekeeper, pilot, whatever it is, I'll do it, man. I'll do it. After some years, like this whole fame thing gets really boring, man. It gets really weird and dark, and you want to be treated like everyone else.
What is that like? Take us into this bubble that can sometimes get dark.
And the thing is, a lot of artists always say that, man. They always talk about the fact that as soon as the fame comes, it's like everyone just starts to treat you different, even though you actually genuinely remain the same. Do you know what I mean? So I'm very curious to see what he's going to say.
Well, for one, you never know if any of the people you meet are truly interested in you, your character.
Mm-hmm.
Two, it gets really tricky with family, too. Once you get famous and you get money, it's like, oh, you changed. And it's like, no, we never spoke. We never spoke. I didn't change. I can't go to church. And that sucks.
Really?
Yeah.
Why not?
Because of how I feel when I'm in church.
Tell me about that.
I end up feeling like the devil.
Why?
Everyone is turning around looking at me instead of praying. You know what I mean? People are, and they're doing this. People are sneaking their phones and they're not listening. Like, they're not listening to what the pastor's saying. People are not really praying. That's weird. That's very weird. I don't think that should happen in that environment.
Then how do you stay in touch with God, that relationship, and with your spirituality?
3 people to really help me out with that kind of stuff and get me back on track is my father, my big brother, and a really, really close friend of mine, Alex, or Dr. Smile as people know her.
Your mom, her name was Ivy, and she passed away when you were 11 months old. You've mentioned these 3 men and how impactful they are.
Yeah.
So tell me about your mother.
With all the stuff that I get, all the praises and stuff like that, none of it ever goes to my head. And people always ask me, how? I think my mother plays a huge part of it. I just love to believe that. I think it's just this part of me that doesn't want to let her go fully. I love to just regard her in that way.
So when you're looking at this video and actually directly learning from Nasty C, there's a few things that we can take out. Number one, you have to understand the business you're in. The music business is not here to play games. It's not a playground, right? There are actual people that see this as a business, which you actually should look at it, right? They see it as a business and they're always looking at it as, what can I actually gain from this talent? What can I gain from this creative? And how can I make sure I'm making my profits on this creative without realizing that, in fact, I believe they realize, but they just don't care, without caring about the fact that this person's a human being, right? When it comes to business, you got to realize that no one actually cares about feelings. They don't care about the emotions of things. They don't care about the morality in some certain cases as well. So it's all about having that at the back of your mind and maneuvering correct. Number 2, he said something very, very important there. Whenever an artist goes through something that is bad, maybe a bad label situation, etc., the first thing that you're seeing them do is automatically go to Twitter, and all of a sudden, they're ruining relationships, they're blasting labels and people around them, creating all sorts of drama on Twitter, on TikTok, etc. And you don't realize that all that does is just create a bad taste in people's mouth. And those people that you literally bastardize, you don't realize that, yes, you're getting the one up on them, but everyone else also looking at you are thinking, nah, I don't want to work with this person. They're problematic, etc. So the best way to handle situations is that, yes, you can be vocal about it, especially if it's extreme, but there's a way you go about it. You saw that he was playing chess, not checkers. He didn't go and actually air out all of his situations and all of the bad doings in the past. What he did is that he approached it amicably. He sat down with the people, said, you know what, I'm not happy with the situation. Let me get out of this deal, this record label deal, this partnership, etc. And then use it to leverage into the next one through learning from mistakes. And number 3, we can see that this guy is just a normal guy, man. Like, I think the biggest thing that happens with artists or famous people just in general is that as soon as you become famous, you develop some sort of God complex. You believe that everyone needs to know who you are. You believe that as soon as everyone knows who you are, you're at the top of your game and no one can actually chat to you for anything. But you saw, there's even cases of him working normal jobs, you know, and him actually doing all sorts of things to actually stay humble and stay in that humble kind of environment of understanding what normal people basically go through. And I believe that's the reason why he's still relevant today, why he still has a fan base and why people keep on supporting him. regardless. But my people, them, I'll leave the video links down below so you can watch the rest in your own time. Carry on supporting them, carry on supporting the channels, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We literally just passed 100 subscribers over the weekend, so I'm happy about that. I'll make sure to see you guys in tomorrow. And on the road to 1K, let's get to it ASAP.